Hey guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. So today we are doing more of a chatty video. I am going to talk to you guys about what I'm planning on doing for the next year. So if you guys are interested in finding out what I'm doing for the next year on my planty journey, definitely keep on watching. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel. And if you guys could watch this video all the way through to the end, that also would really help me out. So without further ado, let's get into the video. So I have thought about this for quite some time, and I know of one YouTuber that did it, one plant YouTuber that did it in the past year, and that is going on a whole year of not buying plants. So a whole year no buy, which I have put off making this video because I didn't want to put it out into the universe for you guys until I was for sure mentally prepared and ready to try this, I guess. I mean, obviously nothing as bad is gonna happen if I don't complete this, but I put kind of a questionnaire on my Instagram page. If you guys want to follow me on Instagram, it's Emma's Plant Wonderland here, same on YouTube. So but I asked the people on Instagram, or the people that follow me on Instagram, if they'd be willing to trade plants with me in the next year, because I was considering going on a no-buy for a whole year. I think there was 10 or so people that were like, of course I'll trade plants with you. So I think that's a pretty good number. I mean, I really don't have that many followers to trade with, you know? So I think as long as I get people to obviously trade with me and find people that are safe and that I'm comfortable with. Yeah, so I just kind of wanted to talk about what I am thinking is how it's gonna go, and kind of pros and cons lists that I've made about doing a no-buy for a year. But before we get into the list, I do want to say that this is more inspired by Caitlin from Plant Life in the Tropics, I believe is her YouTube name. She is amazing. I love her and all of her plants, and this is kind of who, at least from what I'm aware of, the first person that's talked about it and documented their whole journey on doing a no-buy for a whole year. She did say that she was gonna come out with a video about her full year experience. I don't think it's came out yet. I haven't seen it, but I'm excited to see that from her, because she did do it for a whole year and she was able to trade plants and all sorts of stuff. And so she was kind of the main inspiration for this. But then also I've been collecting plants for a long time, since I don't even remember. I'll put it on the screen if I can find when I got my first plant, what year it was. I think it was before 2019, because it was before I got this house. So it might have even been 2017. Honestly, I don't remember, but I'll put it on the screen if I can find what year it was. But I have kind of gone, when I first got into plants, I was more into succulents, and I had a million grow lights, and I just had rows and rows and rows and rows of succulents. I had more succulents then, I believe, than I have houseplants now, which is just kind of crazy, but also houseplants tend to be bigger than succulents. Anyways, that's not the point of this video. So what I'm really trying to say, rambling on, is that I've been collecting plants for years, and I will always have plants, and I don't need to have them all right now, you know, especially right now in today's plant climate. I guess you could say plants are very expensive, and I was lucky to kind of start getting into the more uncommon plants before 2020, when, you know, the plant boom happened. So I did get a couple rare plants for what I thought was extremely expensive. But now, if that was the price, I mean, it's extremely cheap. So I got lucky in that sense a little bit. And now, like with the plant prices are going up and like I still want to buy plants, but I just spend the money and it's like, yeah, okay, like I really wanted that plant. Like it brought me a lot of joy and still brings me a lot of joy, but in reality, that plant was like $200 cheaper last year, and now I'm like, you know, saving up for this, you know, expensive plant when I can just trade for it, I guess is what I'm learning. I have done not quite a few. I've done, I don't even know, probably 4 trades before with plants, like within the last couple of years. And I haven't necessarily had a bad experience with the plant trade, but I really don't do it that much. And so I think that's obviously something I'm going to start doing. And yeah, so I've been rambling for 7 minutes now, and I don't know if any of that made any sense to anybody. So I'm just going to get into the pros and cons list that I made up. Most of them are pros. 6-ish for the pros and only 2 cons, but I guess I can't really like judge the experience before I have it, so I can't really think of any other cons. So I guess this is mostly pro. The only things I can think of mostly are pros, and so that's like another pro is that there's more pros than cons, and I should definitely do this. So the first thing I have for pros is saving. Like obviously if you want, let's say you want a Florida Beauty and you don't want to spend $1,000 for a Florida Beauty, you trade for the Florida Beauty and you don't spend the $1,000. All you do is spend the postage or, you know, if it's local, gas, I guess. Not saying that Florida Beauties are grand. I don't know how much they're going for right now. The first one I had for the pros is saving money because you're not buying plants. It's kind of obvious. I mean, I guess I should add in, I'm going to have like, I'll put like the rules at the end that I made for myself. But one of those is like, I'm still gonna let myself obviously buy plant products. So like soil and pots and plant accessories or whatever, like moss poles, or I'll start making my own moss poles or whatever. So yeah. The next one for pros is making new plant friends or just new friends in general, even if you don't end up like actually doing a trade with them. There's a lot of people out there that believe like the plant like community is toxic, or I guess that's a pretty aggressive word. I don't know, that they just haven't had the best experience with the plant community, I guess. But I think you have that with every community where people just sometimes don't get along, and that's just how it is. But I have made several friends just because we both love plants, and I think that's awesome. And I mean, I'm not saying they're all, I mean, I only have like 1 plant friend in person, I guess, at the moment, that like lives in my town, I guess is what I'm saying. But I have multiple plant friends on Instagram, and I'm on Plant Me Ashley's Discord. If you guys know her, she's also a plant YouTuber. And yeah, so she has like a Discord server, which is basically like its own social media of just people that love plants. So that's really helped me out with creating new friends, and I've been able to do some trades and selling and buying plants on there even, and so that's really helped me. Yeah, so I mean, that's pretty high up there on my pros list because new people, new friends are always awesome and welcome. So the third thing I have for pros is basically having a purpose for your propagations. So I know some, including myself, plant parents just love to propagate their plants for no specific reason, like not having not having a purpose for the plant once it is grown and has roots and potted up. Like what are you gonna do with another plant of the same plant you already have? So that's good for trades and stuff like that. Even if it's common plants and stuff, I mean, nobody really cares. As long as they want the plant, and they'll be willing to trade for it, I guess is my opinion. That's how I feel anyways. Because two, I've definitely been known for like cutting up a plant, propagating it, and then like forgetting about it, and then it dies, and it's like, it was doing great, but then I, had it in my care for too long and I killed it. Why didn't I give it away before I killed it or traded it? So I think that's good because I love to propagate, and that will be something I'll never stop doing. Even though I don't really have a reason to propagate, but now I do, because I'm going to trade the propagations. So another thing on the pros list is getting wish list plants. So when you are on the hunt for a specific plant and you want to trade for it or whatever, you're gonna do whatever it takes basically to get that plant. So if it's a plant that's worth, kind of back to money, but if it's worth like, so let's say the plant you have is $50 and the person you want to trade with has a plant that's worth $100, but they still want the other plant and you still want the other plant. Even though there's a $50 difference in price, people are willing to trade for that because they want that plant that you have, and they'll be willing to give more or take less or whatever to make the trade work. And so that's kind of a more simple way to get like your wish list plants for, like I said, a more affordable price. Yeah, and two, when you're on a no-buy, it's, in my opinion, from what I've picked up, people do no-buys because they're like, already have a bunch of plants and whatever. So at that point, you're kind of only looking for specific plants, if that makes any sense. I don't know. And the last one is kind of like 2 in 1, but I'm gonna I'll clump it all together, and that is better for the planet. So it's better for the earth, and then on top of that, it, helps your carbon footprint, which is kind of like the same thing, I guess. But what I wrote down for that is just like that plants aren't from here. So like I live in Iowa, and the house plants, or the plants that I want, are tropical plants from other countries across the world, like Brazil and Peru and, Asia. I don't know where they come from, honestly, but not here. More tropical landscapes is what we'll say. And so to get them, obviously we're at the point where you can get plants without them being poached. And you should only get plants if you are buying from a reputable seller, or that they weren't poached by the person you're buying from, whatever. There's a whole, if I can find that website with all of the plants that are like highly, sorry, there's just a stray cat outside. I'm like, who are you? I can't remember what it's called. I think it's called like Sites. Is that a thing? I don't know. If I can find it, I'll link it down below, and then you can like search specific plant genuses that are going extinct or that are highly poached or all of that kind of stuff. So if I can find that, I'll put that down in the description box below. But what I was saying is plants aren't from Iowa, where I live. So at one time, they, took it out of the ground and brought it into their home, and then they shared it, and it grew and grew. And nowadays we do tissue culture. So they have like one plant, and they can multiply that plant within like the tens and thousands and whatever, make millions of plants out of one original mother plant because of the way they can grow through tissue culture. So the moral of the story is, if I have a plant that has already been tissue cultured and brought to Iowa from Florida, it's already had that truck across America, basically, footprint, and I take it and I buy it and I grow it out, and then I start sharing those cuttings and plants and whatever with other people, that at least prevents them from going out and having to purchase that plant that I already purchased that was probably on like the same truck even. So I'm not saying that like we're all terrible because we buy plants locally. That's not what I'm saying. But at the same time, plants aren't from here, and we have to bring them in to the people that want to buy them. And that creates a carbon footprint to some extent. So I am just going to try to get my footprint smaller, I guess is what I'm saying. And I know shipping plants also creates a carbon footprint because of the post and however they're traveling, if they're on truck or plane or whatever. But if I'm only trading plants like, 4 times this spring and fall and summer, spring, summer, and fall, whatever, versus me buying a plant every month, it's definitely less post travel, I guess is also what I'm saying there. So that helps as well, because before, I guess I haven't purchased any plants within like the last 3 months for myself anyways. I have purchased plants to give, but I haven't purchased any plants to bring them home for I think like 3 months or around then, because I wanted to save up money. I went on a trip last month, or this month, I guess it's still December. So I wanted to save up money, but then I also didn't want to like get plants in the mail and then leave for a week and then they're going to be like, what the heck? And it's also winter. So then you need the heat pack and the heat packaging and all of this extra stuff and waste that contributes to the carbon footprint. Again, back to that. So I haven't been buying plants, I guess is what I'm saying. Which doesn't mean that I'm not going to buy plants by the end of the year, because I want to buy like a mystery box from Botanicas for my birthday. But if I buy that before the first of the year, then it's technically not in 2022. So it works out. I'm convincing myself that it's okay. Anyways, rambling some more. Yeah, so those are basically all of the pros that I have come up with. I'm sure there are more. If you guys could think of any more, put them down in the comments below. So I really only have 2 cons. I'm sure there are more, but again, I really haven't been on a no-buy before. And even like this past few months, it wasn't like I'm going on a no-buy, I can't buy any plants, because I feel like when I do that, even for a day, or like I go to a store and I'm like, I can't buy any plants today, I can't buy any plants, it just makes me want to buy plants more. Does that make sense? Let me know down in the comments below too if you have ever had that experience when you tell yourself something that you can't do. All you want to do is do that one thing that you said you couldn't do. It's like when you got in trouble when you were a kid and your parents were like, don't do this. It's like, it's the first thing you do, because it's all you can think about is doing that one thing they told you not to do. Anyways, we're kind of off topic, but whatever. So the first con is maybe not getting a large plant, or you're just getting cuttings, is what I wrote down, because genuinely when I would sell plants even, they'd be like smaller, not necessarily starter plants, but they would be like a couple leaves and semi-rooted or whatever. If I had a plant like that was fully rooted, like obviously, then that's more established plant. But I have sold cuttings before, and not like wet sticks, but with water roots, I guess. I don't suggest buying plants that are wet sticks. It's a risk either way, but if they don't have any sort of root system, it's very hard on the plant to recover from shipping. But yeah, so if you are more, I guess for me, like if I go to a store and there's 2 plants and I really like this plant and I want to get it, like I will probably pick the bigger plant out of the 2, because in my mind it gives me more of a chance to save it if I start to kill it. So there's like more things to propagate, more nodes. So that's kind of where I'm at, where I was buying bigger plants just in case, which is not necessarily the best or the worst thing to do. You do you. If you like smaller plants, you like smaller plants. So if that's something that you really like, to buy larger, more established plants, maybe trading small stuff isn't necessarily the best plan, because it's not like you can ship a full plant. You can, but generally people don't, I guess is what I'm saying. Generally, if people are doing trades and stuff, they do like smaller plants or semi-rooted cuttings or whatever. So I guess that's kind of a con if, like I said, if you're more into larger, more established plants. The other con I have is just that it might take more time to find the plant that you want. So with the internet, you know, sounding like an old person, but with the internet, everything is like right there. So if you want a philodendron Jose Bueno, all you do is go to Etsy and you type in philodendron Jose Bueno, and then there's like 20 plants that pop up because it's a highly desirable plant and people are growing it and propagating it and selling it. And so it's more accessible. So if you're looking for a rare plant or something that's not super accessible, it might take you more time to find that one person that has the plant, but then also has propagations of the plant or is willing to give up the plant for whatever you have. So you'll have to compromise, and you can't always necessarily get that specific plant. But two, with the wish list thing I said for pros, if you can't get the plant, don't settle for something else because you only want wish list plants at this point. At least that's why I'm doing it. I only want my wish list plants. And I mean, it kind of changes. I find new plants all the time that I want and that I don't have, but it just might be more time consuming, I guess is what I'm saying. It's just going to be more time consuming for you to find that one person that is willing to trade with you and is willing to have or to give away some of their own plant. You know, there's probably 100 people that have this super rare plant, but only 20 of them are willing to cut it, and only 5 of those people have a rooted cutting or something that's able to survive shipping. That it's not like always accessible to your fingertips, and it's something you kind of have to plan out more than something like just going to Etsy and buying the first decently priced plant that you find. So I totally forgot to like finish all the things that I wanted to talk about in this video, and I know that it's already extremely long. Also, I got my hair done. So I wanted to like make rules for myself at the end of the video. So I am going to allow myself to buy certain plants. So I have a list basically of only 2 plants I am allowed to buy in person only. Okay, in person only. So the first one is a Cebu Blue, which might seem kind of odd because it's more of a tangible plant these days. Like, it's more accessible. But I have only gotten that plant. I have gotten that plant several times, and I have only gotten it through the post. And every time, either it freaks out in the mail or I kill it like weeks after I've gotten it. And I have never had a good opportunity to purchase it in person. So if I get one, or if I find one in person that I can easily get home safely, I am going to be purchasing it no matter how much money it is. Rule or exception or whatever, number 1. Number 2 is any type of variegated monstera that I find in person that's not sold as a variegated monstera besides the Thai constellation. So I really thought about these. So I'm going to allow myself to buy a Thai constellation if Costa Farms releases them in big box stores. So it should be around $100. That's the only one that I'm allowing myself to buy that's actually that's actually a variegated monstera on purpose. Any sport variegated monstera or any Aurea sport or whatever, anything like that I find in person that's supposed to be a green monstera but is not, it is variegated, I am allowing myself to buy it, because if I don't, because of this year no buy, I will regret it for the rest of my life. And I just know that. And so those are the 2 exceptions that I'm allowing myself. And those are the rules to not buy plants unless it's a Cebu Blue or a variegated monstera. I think I can handle it. Wish me luck in the comments. Yeah. So I am done rambling. It has been 26 minutes. Hopefully this video is not that long for you guys. But if you guys have made it to the end of the video, definitely leave me this emoji down below, because I always think that's really fun to see who watches my videos all the way through and to see who the real ones are. Yeah, I hope this wasn't like too chatty, but obviously it was chatty because I'm not doing anything. I'm just like talking to you guys. So if you guys liked this type of video, definitely leave that down in the comments below as well. And I can surely make more chatty videos in the future. I had kind of thought about doing some like care tips and stuff like that. Not 100% sure if I'm the best person to be giving advice, but definitely leave that also down in the comments below, or anything you have, leave it down in the comments below and I will get back to you down there. So yeah, that is going to be it for today's video. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you all enjoyed it, and we will see you in my next one. Bye guys.